Hello, BookTube. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Juan. I am just one reader. No, you are not dreaming. This is neither fantasy nor hallucination. I am not a figment of your own psychosis. I am actually here. That is correct. I am alive. I'm still here. I'm not dead. I haven't disappeared from the face of the earth, although I have taken quite some time from this whole thing right here. Uh, you know, I don't really have any explanations. I just have to say that for the past couple of months, really, life has been different pace, different rhythm, different things to do and to take care of. And yeah, so that's why haven't really been here as frequently as I was used to or as I would like to. But, well, here we are. Also, my reading has been kind of, I guess, excuse me, my reading has sort of taken a backseat. It hasn't been the priority in my life right now. I just, I have a lot going on, working, doing a lot of stuff. And, well, sometimes it happens, but I'm pretty sure I'll get back on track. I'll get back on, the good wagon of BookTube. Is that even a thing, or did I just make it up? Anyway, so I'm gonna show you the books that I've been reading, that I have completed recently, and that I am reading right now. I have some mixed thoughts. I have a mixed bag for you today. And that's also why I haven't been reading as consistently as I normally would, because like I said, my reading has been sort of, and that is because I've been branching out of my comfort zone. I have always considered myself to be a fairly intuitive kind of reader, a very, what we call mood reader, a mood reader. I usually know what I want to read and I just go for it. It's like this magic perception of oneself that we readers practice and develop. But then sometimes I think it's okay to branch out and listen to other people for a change, except when it doesn't work out, like in this case. Some of the books that I will share with you today are books that I decided to read because of other people's recommendations, and that's not really to blame them. I blame myself because you should never trust others. You should never listen to people's opinions. You should trust only you. You alone are the master. You alone are the Lord of your universe. No, I'm kidding. I do believe that it's okay and necessary to branch out and to get things in your reading diet that are not usually present. However, sometimes it works out and sometimes it's just disappointing. C'est la vie. That's just the way it is. So, okay. Without any further ado, let me share the books that I've read recently. And by recently, I mean like since August. This is going to be like an August/September kind of wrap up. Okay. So the first book that I completed, and this is one of my favorite books of the year, is Close to Death by Anthony Horowitz. So if you know me, you know that I love Anthony Horowitz. He's quickly becoming one of my favorite writers, certainly my favorite author of recent years. I just love everything that I've read of his, that he's written. I think he's brilliant. He is such a clever man, but he's also a decent, warm, good human being, like an actual good human being. And you can see that because goodness shows, and it comes across in his writing. You can just see the quality of the man behind these books. Anyway, I love Anthony Horowitz. This book, Close to Death is book number 5 in this series, the Hawthorne and Horowitz series, which is a series in which Anthony Horowitz himself is one of the main protagonists of the stories. Basically, each book in the series, each installment tells a different mystery, a different murder mystery. And Horowitz is the writer who has to go and try to solve these puzzles along with this character, Daniel Hawthorne, who really is like the shining star of the series. He's like the detective character, and I just love the interactions between them. I love the settings. I love the characters. I love how whimsical everything feels, but it never feels silly or ridiculous. It just feels. I guess it's the right combination of wholesome and quirky and whimsical, but also very dark and realistic and expertly told by Anthony Horowitz. I just love his writing style. This particular installment might not be my favorite of the series so far, but it is just wonderful. It's such a delight to read, and I gave it 4.5 stars out of 5. It was near perfection. So after that, I branched out and I read something completely different, and this one actually did work out for the better. Birnam Wood by Eleanor Catton. This is Eleanor Catton's third novel. Her first novel was The Rehearsal, which I loved. It was one of my favorite books that I read last year. I loved it. Her second novel, The Luminaries, was a best-selling hit, and it won the Man Booker Prize. Eleanor Catton was the youngest recipient of the award for that book. And I liked The Luminaries, but not nearly as much as I liked The Rehearsal. And then this one, Birnam Wood, this was a very interesting read. I am so glad that I picked it up. I am so glad that I read it. I wouldn't say that this is a book that I would recommend to anyone and everyone. It is a weird book. Essentially, it's about this group of... Because even describing the plot synopsis is sort of strange. It sounds really strange. It's about this group of activists. So it's about ecology, and this group of activists who they are insufferable, borderline personalities, and they are so rebellious and so strange and unlikable, at least they were to me. But they get tangled up in this weird business thing, this weird relationship with a billionaire, an American billionaire who pretty much feels like Kendall from Succession, like Kendall Roy. And actually, the entire book, Birnam Wood, made me think so much of that episode in Succession, season 1, where Kendall kills the guy, in the car. This very much feels like that, exactly that. It's the perfect mix of political and just contemporary issues. So really important themes discussed in this kind of weird packaging. The book is kind of a character study, but it's also a thriller. So it is very engaging. It's very easy to read. A lot of people are saying that the book is slow. The first half of the book, do not agree. I do not agree. I always found the book incredibly readable, incredibly fast-paced and engaging. And when you get to the final chunk of the book, it is quite literally a thriller kind of movie, almost. Very cinematic and very much, like a straight up thriller. So it's a book that is strange. It won't appeal to anyone and everyone, but I do think that it's strange, and I am glad that I read it. And I love that Eleanor Catton really captures the voices and the mentalities of these people who are just, the borderline personality types, but then the billionaire comes along and he is just like straight up evil, like narcissism, malign narcissism. So, but I loved reading about these people, even though I found them deeply complex and not necessarily in a good way. Anyway, Birnam Wood by Eleanor Catton deserves 4 stars from me. I think it was good. Okay. Then I read one of the most disappointing books of the year for me because people were saying that this was the book of the year, the book of the summer. Like people were raving so badly about this book, The God of the Woods by Liz Moore. Liz Moore is an author that I had read previously. Her novel, The Unseen World. I really liked that book. I read it probably like 6-7 years ago. Don't really remember that much about it, but I do remember feeling like I wanted to read more from the author, and now I have, and maybe it wasn't a good idea. Maybe this was not the right book of hers to have read. I did not get along with this book. This book tells the story of this really exclusive, elitist camp for children and teenagers up in the Adirondacks, these mountains in the US. And this camp is owned by a really wealthy family, and one of the children at the camp is one of the members of the family who owns the camp. And one morning, they wake up to find that said child is missing. No one knows where she is. And so a sort of investigation ensues, and we get to see the investigation following that event. But then the story goes back in time, and we get to see that like decades before that, another child, I think a decade before, another child of the same family had also gone missing and was never found. So it's a mystery, except it's not really a mystery. I don't know. This book tried so many different things at once, and I don't think all those things were pulled out necessarily or pulled off like they were achieved in a good way. I think this book was very mediocre. I thought it had a lot of potential, a lot of it wanted to be a certain type of book that I don't think it was at the end. I didn't like the writing, and you know what? I am a very writing style focused kind of reader. So if I don't like your writing style, it will be very hard for me to like your book. And I don't know. The writing style in this felt very matter of fact to me. It felt very declarative, but nothing really ever stuck. Like nothing really mattered. I didn't really care for the characters or what happened to them, what we found out or didn't find out. I just found it very lackluster. And then the themes, like the important messages about politics and social issues and gender issues and everything that this book tries to deliver, I thought everything was very ham-fisted and everything was just really like there in your nose. And so it just felt like a very simplistic kind of book. I didn't really get any complexity out of it, and I didn't get any enjoyment. So why the hell did I read this gigantic novel? It's not really gigantic, but it felt much longer than it actually was because it never ended, and I was waiting for something to move me or something to happen, but this book just left me cold. So I am giving this book probably 2 stars. I think that sounds like fair. Yeah, just not, no. Oh man, but then I read something even worse. Then I read something truly, truly devastatingly bad, and that was Red Rising. Red Rising by Pierce Brown. Oh my god. Okay. Where do I even begin with this book? I wanted to read something fast paced and enjoyable. I'm not a pretentious reader who only reads classics, and no, I am not that guy. I enjoy many things, and I wanted something out of this book that it didn't give me. I wanted this book to be just addictive, fun, like crack, something that I couldn't put down, something that I would want to stay up all night and read. This book is one of the worst things I've ever read. It was incompetent. That's the only word that I can think of that can accurately describe what this book is. It is incompetent. This is one of the few books that if you like it, I will kind of judge you. I might be polite to your face and say, that's okay. We are all entitled to have our personal tastes. But really, deep down, I will be judging you. I will be very critical of you, and I will never trust you ever again if you like this book. I'm only just half kidding. This book is that bad. I thought it was just silly. It was silly. It was ridiculous. It was cringy. All the while I was reading this book, I was just laughing out loud because it was just like, it read like teenage fan fiction of something else, like Harry Potter, Hunger Games, that kind of situation. It was unbelievably cringy, unbelievably silly. Everything felt like dramatic and theatrical. Like there was this feeling like a pent up sexual repressed energy throughout the book that I noticed that was just like teenager-y. And yeah, I found the book hilarious. And other than that, it's a book that really is not well written. I mean, in terms of the language, it's fine. It's normal. It's pretty straightforward. But what I mean is, in terms of the fantasy genre, I don't think this book is well written at all. The world building is delivered in a way that is so bland and uninteresting. And there's just terms and words and made up things that are thrown to your face, but nothing really matters. Nothing really gives you a sense of atmosphere. Even Brandon Sanderson, even though I don't like his thing, I can get his thing. But here it just felt so shallow and bland. And I never got a sense of the world. I never got a sense of, oh, this is what this world and these people look like and feel like and sound like. The main character, I don't even remember his name. There's no personality. This book has many characters, many settings, many terms and vocabulary, and but nothing really matters. So you don't learn anything. Nothing sticks out. Nothing jumps off the page. It's just empty words that are there. Reading this type of garbage makes me cherish Harry Potter all the more. Like, I actually feel like I need to read Harry Potter now as an antidote to this because, J.K. Rowling does everything right, and she did it so effortlessly and so wonderfully, and everything flows in those books. And the Harry Potter books are so deliciously funny and emotional. And here it's the opposite. There's no emotion in here. There's graphic stuff. There's violence. There's action, there's a lot of plot, there's a lot of things that happen, but it's so boring because there's no emotion like supporting anything. And there's no sense of humor whatsoever. And you know what? I think it's because the author felt very young and amateurish to me. He gave me Christopher Paolini Aragon vibes, you know what I mean? I got that feeling like he was really showing off and very insecure, trying to just deliver the goods and throw everything at the wall and just go all the way for it. But this is like a wannabe kind of book, you know, like it's trying to be so many things so hard, and it's like, dude, chill, chill, chill. Now I will give Pierce Brown, who, by the way, Mr. Pierce Brown, you are a handsome man. Wow. Very stylish. I will give him some credit in terms of people always say that this book is the worst one of the entire series, but I will not be continuing on with the rest of the series. Are you kidding? After this disaster, I will stay away. Stay away. I am giving Red Rising by Pierce Brown 2 stars. I don't think it deserves 1 star just because 1 star ratings are offensive. Like, they are for offensive reads. So, no. Okay, so I am currently reading 3 books, and I have high hopes for all 3. Daughter of the Forest by Juliet Marillier. I am liking this. Not loving it, but I am liking it. I like the atmosphere. I like the writing. I like the folklore and the fairy tale aspect to it. But it's very slow, and it's sort of, it's sort of frustrating me because of how slow it is. Then I am doing some research for a paper that I'm writing. I am a psychotherapist, really a psychoanalyst, and my specialty for some reason is men. I see most of my patients are male because, here in Mexico, for some reason, male patients seeking psychotherapy usually go for male therapists. And guess what? There's not a bunch of us out there, especially if you narrow it down to the psychoanalysis. There's only a handful of male certified psychoanalysts. There's a lot of people who claim to be psychoanalysts, but people who are actually certified by the IPA, the International Psychoanalytical Association, there's not a lot of them. And so for some reason, I see a lot of male patients, and I am writing a paper on the importance of bringing my own sense of humor and my own sense of, everything that has to do with emotionality or vitality to the sessions, especially with male patients, in the context of this kind of society, the cultural context. And so for that, I am reading this book, which is Why Don't Psychotherapists Laugh? This is very much about humor and psychoanalysis in the consulting room. So I'm reading that. And finally, the other book that I'm reading is actually nonfiction, and it's Salt, Sugar, Fat. And this is by Michael Moss, winner of the Pulitzer Prize. This was published around 10 years ago, but I only got around to reading it just now. And it's really wonderful. This is the kind of nonfiction that I love reading. It's about food, nutrition, but also corporations and evil people trying to make a buck out of ignorant, normal human beings. And it's one of those books that makes you feel a little afraid but also better informed. And I love reading about this kind of thing, nutrition and what we put into our bodies and all that. So I'm really, really liking it. It's really well researched and really well written. So that's what I'm reading at the moment. I will keep you updated in my next video. Thanks for watching. I am just one reader, and I will see you next time.